Hi everyone, my name is Nathan and I've nearly finished my first year as a junior doctor in the UK, my FY1. I know that there are many people across the UK who've just finished their final year of medical school, congratulations, and are about to start their FY1. So this is a part 2 video of things that I wish I knew before I started my FY1. Okay, so today I'll be covering 4 main extra points which I think are important to know before starting your FY1. The first one is booking leave, and booking leave early. So I think this is a very important point before you start any rotation, especially your first rotation. So you should receive your rota, which tells you about your normal working days, your on-calls and your nights about 6 weeks before you start the rotation. The first thing and the most important thing is to clarify who you need to request leave from. Who's the rota coordinator, and if you just need to request leave for one person or if there's multiple people you need to inform. So for example, in my orthopedic rotation, there was one SHO who dealt with leave, and so you would just email them. But in my endocrinology rotation, you had to email one of the consultants and also a separate medical rota coordinator. So it's important to know who you need to contact before you request your leave. And I know that this may seem like quite a simple point, and it really is, but it's also a very simple thing to miss or to forget. There's quite a lot of people who've got to request their leave until when the rotation has started or even midway through the rotation. And then when they try and get the days that they want or try and get a good number of days together as opposed to just a scatter of 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 there, they find it quite difficult. So have a look at your rota, figure out if there's a particular time that you need off or that you want off, or if it works strategically. And that's kind of linked to another part that I want to mention. Be smart when you request your leave. So during May, we were quite lucky, we had a lot of bank holidays. I think it was May. And so there was one bank holiday on a Monday, one bank holiday on a Friday. So I just used only 3 days of my leave, and that gave me 9 days off. The weekend before, the weekend after, and the full week in the middle. So try and find bank holidays or days off in your rota that you'll have inevitably, and try and be smart and strategic when you take your leave. Another thing to add is if you have important events like weddings coming up, make sure you let the rota coordinator know in advance, preferably before they've given you the rota, if you can, and that way they can hopefully assign you to a rota that would allow you to attend those events. So my second point is that it's okay and sometimes necessary to say no, or even if it's not a no, to clarify your timescales. What do I mean by this? Well, when you start as a junior doctor, it's really easy to say yes to all the jobs, especially if you have a bleep. But what I've learned from my seniors, and also the hard way, is sometimes when you're on call, you're receiving jobs on the bleep, jobs are piling up. If you're saying yes to everything, you're going to be chased 30 minutes down the line if you still haven't reached one of the less critical jobs. So it's really important to clarify with whoever's calling you about a job. Look, I'm really busy. I have some critical urgent jobs that need doing first. I will try and do this. But if there is someone else on the ward who can do this in the meantime or whilst you're waiting, then that would be great, because then that person or the problem on the ward gets sorted whilst you're dealing with more urgent things. So good examples are catheters, cannulas and blood. So often there's other people on the ward who are equally trained to do this. Of course, as a doctor, you have practice and we would have learned it in clinical skills, but there are times where there are unwell patients or more time critical jobs that you need to be doing. So if you inform the ward that, look, I'm really busy, I'll try and get around to it, but if there is someone else that can do it, then it allows them to be aware. It means that they won't chase you as well, and that's something that's really important. It's managing your time, prioritizing tasks that are more urgent, and communicating that as well. So my third point is that it's okay to ask. And what do I mean by this? Well, I think many people as a junior doctor, when you're starting, will feel quite intimidated potentially going into certain rotations which they haven't touched that sort of material for a while. So it may have been things that you learned at the start of medical school or even 2 years ago. And I think everyone will have a time where they feel a bit rusty on a particular topic, or a bit sort of worried that they don't really know too much about something, because of course, as you know, every medical school teaches in different ways. Everyone has different exposures to information. You may have had extra teaching sessions on CT interpretation, or you may not have had CT interpretation teaching or as much as other people. So it's really important to be aware that it's okay to ask. And in fact, I encourage you to ask, because I feel a lot of seniors are really happy to take time to teach you, to refresh your mind and refresh your memory, especially if it's something that you haven't covered for a while. And if anything, it'll make you more safe and more competent, and you're more likely to remember it. Okay, and the final point is to establish a good work-life balance very early on. It's very easy when starting a job as a junior doctor to be sucked into a work lifestyle. It's quite easy to be stuck on the ward till quite late, jobs piled up, you want to ensure that you've done everything, you're quite slow, perhaps it's new systems that you're not used to, or just a new general way of operating, or just generally starting work life from going from medical school. But it's important to, whilst on the ward, to check in with other people, check in with your colleagues, see how many jobs they have, them to check on you as well, and ensure that you're finishing on time. And then B is, after you finish work, to take your mind off work, to go find those hobbies that you did during medical school, or even new hobbies. Join clubs, go to the gym, go for walks, get your mind off the ward. So these are my 4 tips in this video of things that I wish I knew before I started my FY1. Of course, there is a part 1 too, the other video that I released. If there's anything that you have questions about, that you would like me to talk about, any other topics, just let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching, and good luck for starting your FY1, and I'm sure it'll be a very good year.